My husband and I have been married for 3 years, been living together for 5. He has always snored and has gotten worse. He would wake me up 5-10 times a night. In 2020, he did a sleep study and was diagnosed with severe sleep apnea and prescribed a CPAP. He wore the CPAP for less than a week because it was uncomfortable. Throughout the years, I have spent hundreds of dollars on over-the-counter sleep meds and earplugs to try and sleep. I've tried calmly to speak to my husband over the years about this, but it has been met with once more. You're just a light sleeper. I'm not talking about this. Why are we talking about this? Married people should sleep in the same bed. I haven't always handled this the best. I've gotten very frustrated and yelled at him in the middle of the night. I'm working on putting my thoughts out calmly. Summer of 2022, I was pregnant and my therapist recommended strongly I sleep elsewhere. I was nervous, but I moved to our guest room across the hall. A few months ago, I moved to the basement because his snoring was still waking me up. This has provided better sleep, but a horrible effect to my mental health. I have frequently encouraged him to go back to the doctor about his sleep apnea, possibly try another CPAP, or explore other options. I'm also concerned on the effects of untreated sleep apnea on his physical and mental health. I tell him I want to sleep in the same bed as much as he does. I know many couples find success in separate bedrooms, but he has made it clear that he is not interested in that. Recently he mentioned, "I bet even if I fixed my snoring, you wouldn't sleep in the same bed as me." I was stunned. Me toughing it out for over 3 years shows the opposite, in my opinion. He finally offered to switch and let me sleep in our bed, and 3 days later he's complaining on how he can't do it. He keeps stringing me along about going to the doctor. I don't think he actually plans to go. His complete disregard for my sleep over the years is incredibly hurtful. His refusal to fix an easily fixable problem is mind-boggling. My question, should I give him an ultimatum to fix his sleep apnea or I'm out? I am considering divorce. Are ultimatums ever healthy? I need advice on how to deal with this. Comments, usually write to, sleep apnea isn't just inconvenient and noisy, it can cause serious health issues. His brain is literally being starved of oxygen. It can make him more prone to heart disease and stroke as well. Does he not get that? Your sleep is important too. Sleep deprivation is considered a form of torture. I get that learning to use a CPAP can take time, and sometimes you have to try a few different masks before you find one that's a good fit. But trying for a week isn't much of a try, IMO. I am not a fan of ultimatums, but he needs to know you're serious. Babe, I love you and want our marriage to work. When you refuse to treat your sleep apnea, I feel sad and angry. I'm sad for you because I know what negative health impacts are lying in wait. I'm angry for me because I feel like you don't care enough about me to do what needs to be done, so I can actually get sleep myself. Sleep deprivation has negative health impacts too. So moving forward, I need you to see your doc, try more masks till one works for you, and make a real effort to resolve this, or I have to reevaluate the long-term situation. It's not just annoying, it's a serious health issue for both of us. He can throw a tantrum, so be it. Send him to the less comfortable room in the basement or whatever. This is his issue to fix, and it is fixable with practically no effort on his part. He's just being selfish, stupid, and lazy. When my ex-husband developed sleep apnea, he told his doc he was there for a sleep study instead of a divorce or a new couch. He wasn't so much kidding. I would not have put up with that for long. OP. Thank you so much for this dialogue, I need it. I am not a fan of ultimatums either. I am concerned and frustrated for our marriage. I also am trying to do everything in a healthy, calm manner. Add chemical 663. So I know I'm an outlier, but I was the one that told my husband he stopped breathing in his sleep and he needed a sleep study. He totally agreed with me. 6 months later, I reminded him about it and explained that I was terrified that one night he'd just die in his sleep and I'd wake up next to a corpse. He made an appointment for the following week. It's taken a bit for him to come around to traveling with it, but generally he sleeps better, he feels more rested, and he dreams when he wears his mask. I think a solid boundary of no, I won't share a bed with you unless you're using your sleep mask is reasonable. Or you can wake him up every time he wakes you up. Don't get angry. Just shake his shoulder until he's as fully awake as you are. If that's a reasonable standard for your sleep quality, it's a reasonable standard for his. Have the conversation after buying a variety pack of mask types for him to try. There's also a mouth guard that's incredible but needs to be refitted every time you have dental work done. OOP, thank you for your insight. He is aware of the risks, but I think he is denial at the same time. I am planning on sitting him down and talking to him again. Awesome one forever. I would think the mini deaths every night would be enough to get him to take it seriously. Todd Rowland, 2022. There is a new device called Inspire. You should have him check into it. If he loves you and wants to be with you, he should consider it. Also, for his own health. OOP, that is what he's talked about. But I believe he is very nervous to have surgery, which is understandable. I think he just puts his head in the sand and pretends nothing is wrong. Todd Rowland, 2022. Yes, I had a mild case of sleep apnea, but the surgery isn't all that invasive and can be done in an afternoon. He should consult a physician about it and get more information. That would put him a lot more at ease about it. Or you could do all kinds of research and then present him with the facts. OOP. I've been trying to get him to schedule a doctor's appointment for years. I think him scheduling one would even do wonders for our marriage. It would show progress. Update 8 months later. Edit everyone saying that he needs a CPAP. I agree. This is what I've told him for 5 years. Everyone that's saying he should try this, I guarantee you I've presented that as a solution for him. The Inspire implant, BiPAP, mouth guards, surgery, etc. He insists that he will only try the CPAP. I've suggested different masks, and he's reluctant, but he's tried 2 different ones. I do appreciate all your support and suggestions, though. I guess I made this post just venting. I don't really know why I made it. I sat down with him and I gave an ultimatum. I told him that he needs to treat his sleep apnea or I will divorce him. He didn't say much. We will see what he does with it. End edit. Update is, there is no update. I am considering filing for divorce by the end of the year if this doesn't get resolved. For the past 5 years, my husband's sleep apnea has been a significant challenge in our marriage. Initially, I slept next to him, but his snoring made it difficult for me to get restful sleep. Despite trying different solutions like earplugs, my sleep continued to suffer. When I became pregnant, I reached a point where I couldn't handle the lack of sleep anymore. On my therapist's recommendation, I decided to move to the spare room across the hall, and we've been sleeping separately for the last 2 years. A year ago, his snoring became so loud that it started waking me up from across the hall, forcing me to move to the basement to get some rest. Unfortunately, sleeping in the basement took a toll on my mental health. After several conversations with him about my concerns, I expressed that I didn't want to sleep in the basement anymore and asked him to see a doctor for his sleep apnea. Instead, he started sleeping in the basement himself, which felt like a temporary fix rather than a long-term solution. The issue persists, especially when we travel, as our daughter and I end up sharing a room with him, and his snoring makes it difficult for us to sleep. I'm increasingly concerned about how this might affect our daughter's sleep as well. I recently sat down with him to express my concerns about his health and the impact this situation is having on our marriage. I shared that I was worried about the potential long-term consequences, both for him and for our relationship, because I have read studies that state that people die in their early 30s with untreated severe sleep apnea. In response, he made a comment that deeply upset me. He laughed and said, "At least I have 10 more years." Though I've tried to stay calm throughout this, I couldn't hold back my frustration in that moment. After I lost it, he did go to the doctor and got a new CPAP machine, but wearing it consistently has been a challenge for him. There have been various excuses about its discomfort, and despite his insistence that the CPAP is the only option, he hasn't been able to wear it through the night. We tried sleeping in the same bed again, but I found myself waking up multiple times to remind him to put the CPAP back on. After 2 weeks of disrupted sleep, I realized that he was taking the CPAP off as soon as I fell asleep, and I had to return to the basement. Lately, I've noticed through reports on the CPAP machine that he hasn't been wearing the CPAP at all. which has left me feeling incredibly frustrated and helpless. I feel like it's creating a huge wedge in our relationship and making me feel unattracted to him. This has been an ongoing issue for 5 years, and I'm struggling to see how I can continue living like this for another 5. I'm trying to stay calm and find the right words to express my feelings, but if we can't resolve this, I may need to consider other options for my own well-being. Comments potent technicality. He needs to practice with the mask. On a day off, when he wakes up, leave the mask on while he reads in bed. When he gets time to relax and unwind after work, play a game while he's wearing it. Meditate wearing the damn thing, focus on breathing. This will save his life and sanity. Apnea almost destroyed me. I was having 98 interruptions per hour. Basically, I was surviving on micro naps and was barely functional during my day. I'm now wearing it every night and am a normal functional person. OOP, I think this is a good idea. Yeah, he has about the same interruptions as you. He is grumpy and just comes home and wants to do nothing. I just wish he would give it a shot, and it could open up a whole new world for him. Ruby June Rocket, he is actively and repeatedly choosing not to address the issues, going so far as to lie to you. He sounds like he doesn't think you will actually leave, so he isn't going to actually bother changing. The fact that he would joke about only being around for 10 more years. Don't you want to be with someone who looks forward to the future with you? This guy isn't even imagining one. He's certainly not working towards it. Jahar. It's lovely that all these people have suggestions and are trying to help, but it's very telling that it's you who's the one posting about this and not him. Doesn't sound like he's doing any research or Googling to try and help you or himself. That would be really hard for me to get over. Potent technicality. He may not even understand how deeply this is impacting him. I didn't. The dissolutionist. The issue isn't even the apnea anymore. It's his refusal to take it serious, address how it's affecting his health and your marriage. All you can do is hold firm on your boundary, and if he chooses to force this, that's on maybe a split, is the reasonable and healthiest option for you. OOP, thank you. I appreciate it. And I've realized that too. Westside Witch OP, I divorced my ex-husband for a similar issue. He had spinal issues due to being obese. He lost some weight and had spinal surgery. I took care of him, even wiping his ass, during recovery, which totaled almost a year. He started eating junk and becoming obese again. He had sleep apnea due to his weight, just so many health issues. I would cry to him about how terrified I was that I would wake up to him dead beside me because he stopped breathing. It was a choice that was going to lead to me being a caregiver of a fully grown adult with a solvable health problem. He developed another spinal issue due to being 400 pounds. I left. I have never regretted it. Random Reddit 9791. My friend and her husband died from sleep apnea. They were both in their mid-20s and overweight. They died in their sleep less than a year apart. OOP, this is what scares me the most. And he joked about it.